up, chat? Today we're gonna be reacting to the most common mistakes in CS2 by Ride or Die, and you know, go like, subscribe, watch this video. But I'm a 20,000 rated premier player last season at least, so I'm gonna give some insight into these and see whether I agree or not. I want to make sure that this is some good advice. So let's get right into it, man.
A few days I've done nothing but watch demo after demo, trying to discover the most common mistakes from each rank on Face It. Now I'm confident that I've done just that. But instead of just telling you these mistakes, I've decided to take clips from each one of these demos and explain exactly what it is they're doing wrong and how you can avoid doing this.
By the way, I have no clue where 20,000, like my rank, fits into this, like, you know, this like timeline at all. Let me shrink my camera a little bit.
Same in your matches. But while I was watching these replays, there was one thing I did notice, and that is mistakes that level 3 players make are remarkably similar to mistakes that level 4 players make, and the same for level 5 and 6.
I guess that makes sense, because it's like as you go up the skill, like if you've ever seen the skill curve graph or whatever, but it's like basically the more you go up, basically the less your improvement gets, so it like rounds off.
So rather than going
you know what I mean?
by level, I'm instead going to share with you the most common mistakes I saw within a general ELO bracket. Unlike previous videos, this one isn't sponsored by anyone. Instead, I want to share with you the glove giveaway that I'll be hosting live once this channel reaches 20,000 subscribers.
Let's get past because it's probably already over.
YouTuber or the FPL player?
YouTuber, not the FPL guy.
Dude, you never added me in the video, bro. What the fuck?
Okay, I will next time.
Bro, I said, can I be in one of your YouTube videos? And you
Oh,
said,
dude,
yeah,
you're in one
What
of
is
the
this
videos
crash
right
out,
now.
dude?
Really?
I'm just gonna clip it.
Oh, there you go.
And then I added you on Steam and you never accepted, so...
Dude, what was that about?
Before we get started, I want to quickly add that all these demos are from EU. So
got it. Okay, yeah. NA players are just objectively worse, I'm pretty sure, at the game.
Anyways,
is like the consensus.
Let's get started. The first ELO bracket that we're going to take a look at is low level 1 all the way to level 2. And for those of you that are familiar with this bracket, it may come as no surprise that the most common mistake I saw was people literally not playing the game. Yes, just going AFK. Every demo I watched,
that's kind of fire.
One person that left the match entirely.
Dude, sometimes if I'm having a bad day, I'll just leave my teammates. I don't know if that's a bad thing, man. I feel bad every time, but it's like sometimes if I'm just not trying to play the game, I just don't want it. This is me. And sometimes I have my guitar over there, and I'll just sit and I'll play guitar the whole round while my teammates slave away. I don't know why. So I like it's I don't know. So I'm kind of like that, but remember I am 20k, so I'm not in the CeeLo bracket.
And your teammates a favor and stop queuing Face It. Something that was also a common theme towards the lower end of level 1 was some players' inability to counter strafe or control recoil.
Yeah, I mean, if you come from any other game, it's gonna be hard
at all. If these clips remind you of your gameplay, I strongly suggest taking some time to learn how to accurately counter strafe and also spend time in this workshop map to help calm down your spray. But outside of these two things, what I learned about level 1 and level 2 players is that their utility usage is quite bad. Throughout every match I
mean, yeah, it's so hard to use CS utility coming from like any other game. Because Call of Duty, you throw a grenade, it goes right where you're aiming. CS, you throw a grenade, it goes off that wall, bounces off, bounces behind you, and ends up hitting you in the face. Like, it's so hard to get used to grenades when you're a new player.
Of the player, people were constantly wasting smokes, flashes, and not laning molly.
I still do this, by the way. I just waste my like sometimes I'll just throw a smoke even though I don't need to. I should probably stop. But
you name it. This skill is something that is definitely developed over time.
Yeah.
Like I said in previous videos, I find that there's a great benefit from just
what is that smoke, bro?
Winning an offline map.
Oh my gosh.
And not practicing.
Dude, that's fire, bro.
Just become more familiar with how utility works and how the physics work in CS. The last thing I want to touch on in this ELO bracket is overall mechanics. There were several contacts that I saw that either one or both players with several of their bullets on what seemed to be relatively easy kills. If you've been around the channel for some time now, you know that I'm a big advocate for deathmatching. And if some of these clips remind you of how you play, then I highly recommend.
Deathmatch is good, but don't play too much, bro. You need to learn the game.
Valve DM server and spending time getting comfortable shooting at players. Moving on to levels 3 and 4. Like I mentioned earlier, a lot of the same mistakes that lower levels make still tend to bleed over into the higher ones.
What is that smoke?
Nearly as frequently. But before I start talking about the main issues I saw in this ELO bracket, I first want to show you a
I guess he smoked off main.
All right, heading out of T.
Like, I don't know what to say.
Actually picks up a few really nice kills and finds him and his teammate in a 1v2.
Bang.
Once his teammate dies
4K?
trying to plant in the open, the operator
3K.
retrieves the bomb, and instead of just going B where you're going to get a free plant, he decides to just smoke off Z and then walk through the smoke and plant. By the grace of God, he survives this and decides to smoke off behind him in Z, then just plays in the smoke. I'm not exactly...
Dude, this is like actual brain dead behavior.
Ends up working for him.
Okay, W, he takes the win.
Would have been exposed by a higher skilled opponent.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, it ends up working. This sort of false...
I mean, I guess you just kind of need a plan for your after plan. You know what I mean? You need to always have a plan in this game, man.
Players in this skill bracket think that these kinds of plays generally work against all players, when in fact they don't. If the CT he was playing against was a better player, they would have walked towards Ivy after the first kill, then once the smoke lands, either start walking towards Z to retake B, or move towards Pop Dog to do the same. In either situation, the bomb being planted A should prompt the CT to drop their smoke in the bomb, and knowing they're facing an opper, just stick the defuse. In a lot of words, what I'm trying to say is a lot of players in this elo tend to struggle when put in 1v1 or 1v2 situations.
You need to just think more, not panic as much.
Aside from that, what really caught me off guard was economy management and players' decision making when it came down to what they were buying. In this same game, the T's finished the half 9-3. And then after that, they went pistol round on their CT side, which makes the game 10-3. One of their players ends up buying armor and a flashbang, and then...
Yeah, I think everybody should be buying up here, right? Because if it's 10-3, you might as well just buy up.
Kept their USP. If you weren't aware, if the T's get plant off on pistol round, which they did, they will almost always buy in order to break the other team's economy. This is especially true when the team is down 7 rounds. What ends up happening is the CTs lose the next round, and the player who didn't buy on their first gun round ends up buying on their third CT round.
At this point, it's too late.
Which puts everyone else on a different
Yeah.
Some players decided to force on their double, while some decided to buy an MP9 with no head. By the end of the game, the CTs lose after dropping 8 rounds in a row, while the entire time they can never find themselves on the same buy. The average elo of the lobby was level 3, and I thought this sort of trend would stop once I started reviewing level 4 matches. But
nobody knows how to use economy ever. Even in like my 20k games, nobody knows how to use the economy, bro.
That wasn't the case. I feel like I need to warn you before I show you this, because it's actually horrifying. During an Inferno game I reviewed, I noticed...
How's this guy like 5 kill? How did he kill the same guy 3 times?
Something kind of odd when I was watching their overtime.
Okay, whatever.
I noticed that on one of the CT rounds, they ended up losing because they didn't have a kit. And the player who didn't have a kit had more than enough money to buy when the round...
Always buy a diffuser, bro. Don't be a loser. Buy a diffuser, bro. Come on.
Then I started to take a look a little bit closer. During the entire game, and even during match point in overtime, over half the team wouldn't buy kits. There is even a player during the last...
Shame, bro. The easiest play in this game is to smoke the bomb and defuse it, man.
...round of overtime who decided to buy an A1S and head armor. And with $400 left, did not buy a kit.
He didn't even buy util, bro.
Instead of getting a kit, bought head armor against AKs. Listen, if this is you, stop doing this. Get help.
Dude, this is fire, bro.
Buy a kit. Okay. With that
bro,
out of the way, let's move on to the last thing I want to talk about in this elo bracket, and that is undervaluing your life. A ridiculously common theme I saw in this match was players who would simply run down mid or apps and get owned.
Sometimes you just get bored, though. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I feel. You know what I mean? You just get bored. You start swinging mid.
I can't.
But you got to stay locked in. That's true.
Like for B players who are playing a retake simulator on Inferno of all maps. And as a fellow B player, I send you my condolences. But really, there is no reason why you should be dying for unnecessary space like mid on Inferno within the first 10 seconds of every round. There's so many other ways to make this map incredibly difficult for T's to play, and running down mid is not one of them. Okay, let's move on to levels 5 and 6, but before I show you some clips, I think it's important to show everyone this. Take a look at my UI. What is something that you noticed in the bottom right-hand corner?
You had the bomb.
If you said my beautiful minimum wear amphibious gloves,
okay,
then
buddy.
You're right, but that's not what I'm looking for. What I was looking for was the C4.
Yeah.
When you're carrying the C4, you can actually see it on your screen. And if that wasn't enough, it will actually show you on the mini-map as well. And
don't run out without your team and have the bomb.
If someone in spawn drops a C4 to you, it will display a message towards the middle of the screen letting you know that you have the bomb.
This guy really doesn't like people who doesn't.
For those of you that made it out of level 1 and aren't AFK at the start of the round, this should be something you don't miss. Okay, jokes aside, I was mind blown when I started seeing just how often players walk around with the bomb seemingly...
This is me, bro. I'm not gonna lie. If you give me the bomb and I don't want the bomb, but you give it to me anyway, I'm gonna lurk with it. Like, if my plan was already to lurk, I'm not changing my plan. I'm lurking with the bomb, bro.
That the entire round is in their hands. How many times has someone in your games or even yourself, ended up dying with the bomb.
I do that all the time, dude. Because if you give me the bomb and I don't want it and I give it back to you and then you give it back to me, I'm just going to die with it. I'm going to go and die with it. That's just how it is,
man. Even when you
man.
had a man advantage. It's a shit feeling and completely preventable. My advice is to actively think about where the C4 is and remind your teammates to drop the bomb if need be, so you can just drop it somewhere so your team can easily access it. Out of everything I saw in this ELO bracket, this was the most glaring issue. However, outside of that, I noticed a lack of general awareness for the game, whether that be not respecting where the enemy could be or just simply lost on what is going on. There isn't really a way to remedy this, and that is why I also say that playing matches is the best way to develop game sense. And this is mostly what I'm referring to. You kind of have to get burned a few times to respect the stove, so to speak. As in getting caught off guard multiple times in certain areas is what takes for you to start respecting where the enemy could be and where they can't be. Oh, and one more thing. For whatever reason, I started to notice players in this ELO starting to run the clock out on T side, which sometimes can be a good thing. But if you end up in a situation where you're the last T alive and you're
you should try to go for it.
Going to lose the round, try and not die after the round ends. Because if you do,
no, I think in like matchmaking, you should always go for it because you're just like trying to practice, getting better.
There is no round reward.
I don't like saving.
And whatever money you started the round with after you.
In pro play, it might be smart, but just in like my games, dude, I never save because it's like I want the practice of trying to win a clutch rather than trying to save my $200 or my $2,000 AK. I don't really care.
That's exactly what you're going to start the next.
But yeah, don't do this. Don't have the round end and then die, dude.
There was one specific time I saw a player who ended up killing an opper that was posted market window after losing the round due to time. Even though this player ended up getting the kill, most times you won't. And instead, you'll be starting the next round with pennies and essentially being forced to save 2 rounds in a row.
True.
Jumping right into levels 7 and 8, I want to start.
Okay, I would imagine this is where I am, like 2,000 level. I don't know.
Start with an example.
Maybe like level 6 is like 2,000 level. I'm not sure.
In this situation, the T is in a 2v1 and no one knows where anyone is at. The CTs decide to double a site, which is where they have the C4 at. Now, obviously, a 2v1 isn't an ideal situation, but usually these kind of rounds are very winnable, especially if the enemy team has no idea on where you are. But what the T does here is a common mistake that a lot of players make.
Yeah.
Something I noticed.
Yeah. I hate when people are in clutches and they do things just like stupid, like making noise, like they pick up like a rifle or they flash for no reason. You know what I mean? Just use like your silence to your advantage, you know what I mean? Sneak up on the enemy, dude. This does piss me off. When I see teammates do this, it pisses me off.
You notice the CT's constantly worried about cave, ramp, and CT, and also any possible timings that they're leaving open. But once the T throws a flash, they instantly know exactly.
And it's so over for this guy now. It's a GG.
He is. This round goes from winnable to almost impossible to win. And the higher elo players you play against, a mistake like this can almost guarantee a round loss. All the CTs have to do now is simply trade each other out or force the T to plant the C4. Another example of this is in a 4v1. The T lurking at A main ends up making a stemp and the donut player ends up hearing him. After this, all the players on the map end up gravitating towards his position, which was previously unknown. I mean, all the players except for Orange over there on B. I'm not quite sure what Orange is doing. Either way, this round is more than likely lost anyway. But making an accidental step like that again turns the round from potentially winnable to impossible to win.
But I feel like sometimes making a step isn't bad if you're like clearing an angle, you know what I mean? But I don't know.
From the same game. In a 2v1, the last remaining T plants the bomb default on B, and the 2 CTs start rotating through CT. In these kinds of situations, 2 things are important. 1, the information you're giving the enemy team, and 2, for the love of God, keep your gun out unless you're smoking the bomb. But instead of trading his teammate out by having his rifle ready, the other CT decides to throw an HE, which deals 8 damage.
This is probably something that I do, bro. That's probably one of the mistakes I make, bro. I love throwing util, bro.
And loses a crucial round in overtime.
I gotta stop doing that, man.
This match specifically,
I do that a lot, huh? Because sometimes every time I go into a site and I have util, I'm trying to throw molotovs where I think they're gonna be hiding, force them out, throw nades where I think they might be. You know, try to throw my smoke on the bomb, flash myself in, but I'm never thinking about like just having my gun out for my teammate. You know what I mean?
That was being thrown. There wasn't one time on either team that an instant elbow smoke was thrown. Nor was there any time that good cat utility was also being thrown.
See, this feels like my elo. You know what I mean? Like I don't care about utility too much, but I feel like that's kind of a bad
Countless
thing.
different ways to get advantages through utility, and Ancient is one of those maps that where good utility can end up winning you rounds. If you plan on playing Ancient a lot, I highly recommend taking a look into learning these instant smokes and learning some good cat utility to help control Cave and Jaguar. Moving off into some of the higher ranks on Faceit, the only real consistent mechanical error I saw a lot of players making was overcommitting to sprays. This is also something that I've been...
Was that a Faceit level 10 player?
Mechanical error I saw a lot of players making was overcommitting.
Oh, nah, bro.
This is also something...
Yo, lock in.
I think players in this elo fall into this bad habit of committing to sprays simply because of how consistently we get punished for missing. A lot of time, missing a shot on someone that isn't even looking at you can result in you dying almost right away. So instead of taking the time to readjust and shoot again, we just hold down left click. Obviously, this is a bad habit, and when you review it in a demo, it really does look awful. One thing that I've been doing in a deathmatch while using the AK is either strictly go for one taps or simply restrict all my sprays to 2 to 5 bullets max. This recently,
I've never thought about that.
Has helped my overall accuracy quite a bit and has reduced my tendency to overcommit to spraying. However, something...
Yeah, it's so hard to spray the guns in this game. It's like something I can do in Valorant, but in this game, you really can't because it's just so hard to control the guns. I guess it is just better to kind of keep in mind the tapping's probably just going to be the best in some situations. You don't need to like spam, you know, all the time.
That isn't a mechanical shortcoming, but rather a game sense error is knowing your role in a match and also playing accordingly with your team. The reason why I bring this up is
my role is lurking and not playing with the team and sometimes getting a good multi-kill. And then sometimes I win my team around and sometimes I sell the game. That's just how it is,
because once I learned about this, it completely changed the way I approach the game.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm mostly op though.
And
I know my role, bro.
Partly the reason why I feel so confident in these low level 10 lobbies. A prime example of this is how these players fought for A on Dust 2. We see them leave spawn and throw very standard utility to take long control, but what they do after loses them the round. Once they get long, the rifler decides he wants to move back to ramp to stop A aggression, which in theory isn't necessarily a bad thing, but unless you're always going to be good for 3 in that position, it sort of leaves your team in an even worse disadvantage when you do die.
How?
I'm trying to get at here is with your team, make a decision on what space it is that you
want. Oh, because they gave up long. Oh, I understand it.
What we end up seeing here is both players end up leaving long, and instead of fighting for cat or long, they both end up just sitting ramp and get killed by the inevitable long flank. This is the sort of thing that is something that happens in all ranks, but you end up seeing it far less the higher elo you move up, and especially if you watch high elo pugs on Faceit or pro matches. Another thing I want to talk about is also knowing your role during a round. I'm not talking about being designated the B anchor, but rather understanding what it is that's going on in the round and playing accordingly. Here we see the team.
So if you have like bomb, you know, you don't want to die. You know, if maybe you have a lurk, you go for the flank.
These are down in a 2v5, and the only way back into the round is if the CTs end up making a mistake.
Okay. So you got the kill. Now they need to go B. They need to go B now. That guy right here. Okay, listen, this guy, he's gonna get smoked off. You just need to go B. The guy to the right maybe should stay mid and kind of cut off cat. You know what I mean?
The 2 mid players end up running right into the op or cat when they could just punish anyone trying to run through mid doors. With these 2 players now dead, the entire B side of the map is open.
Yeah.
Because the information gathered early.
And then this guy's. Oh wait, no. They're just both playing B.
And once the rifler hits a few nice shots in CT, the round goes from almost unlosable to downright unwinnable. In these kind of man-up situations, it's important to know that even if you were to give a site, the worst possible scenario you'll leave your team in is in a 2v5. In this position, the mid players' jobs were to live and gather information for their team to secure the round. I really hope you're able to learn a few things from these demos.
Yeah, dude, this is a really good video, dude. Make sure to go check out this guy. Like and subscribe, man. This is actually fire, bro. I learned a lot, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Hopefully you guys did too. But I'm hosting a 2v2 wingman tournament in my Discord for $50. So join that and subscribe if you learn something new.